Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations on your appointment. I do look forward to what you all bring to the role. And I just, before I get into it, I want to speak quite substantively around Clause 11 of the bill in my speech tonight, but would just like to acknowledge that after a nice leisurely hour-and-a-half long dinner break that's set into our program for every evening, it feels particularly ironic to be coming into this Parliament to remove the rights of ordinary New Zealanders to that predictability and security. And it makes me very uncomfortable in my role as a parliamentarian to feel that there is such a distance between the conditions I expect and I experience in this place and what they can experience in their lives. And it seems to me it would be better if this Parliament returned a little bit more to focus on ourselves and connecting to the reality of average New Zealanders rather than undermining the conditions and experiences of those people. So, tonight to speak to the section Clause 11 of this amendment bill, which provides for employers with the ability to opt out of multi-employer collective agreement bargaining. That sounds like a really technical thing, and I think it's a hard thing for most people in New Zealand who are maybe not members of unions or are not part of a collective contract to understand what on earth this might actually mean or be about or mean in practice. So tonight, actually, I would like to, with the indulgence of the House, actually relay an oral submission that was given to the Select Committee about this bill and what it may mean in practice in our mental health services in the hospital. And it was a submission given by a staff nurse at Te Whare o Matarangi, the Mental Health Recovery Unit at Wellington Hospital, a staff nurse called Grant Brooks. And he clearly recalled the state of Wellington inpatient mental health services before the current national MECA was put in place in 2005. And he recalled for the committee that in 2011, a service user left the ward, climbed into a tiger cage at Wellington Zoo, where he was mauled. Another young man jumped to his death from the roof of Wellington College before he was even noted as missing from the inpatient unit. And in 2004, another man jumped 6 stories from the ward in the hospital to the car park below. And a young woman allowed out on day leave walked in front of a train and killed herself. This was the state of our mental health services in Wellington at that time. It was a service in crisis. And yet the nursing staff had clear ideas about the roots of the problem, and which were reported in the nursing journal, the Kaitiaki, in October 2005, noting that the 29-bed ward had been caring for up to 50 people at a time. And that throughout 2003 and 4, the time of those deaths and terrible incidents, patients were bunking in lounges, in the TV room, and the telephone room. They were even sleeping on mattresses on the floor in the corridor. And nurse-to-patient ratios were as high as 1 in 10 and 1 in 20.
Welcome.
And he told us that this was a result of the Employment Relations Act and the fact that there wasn't a MECA in place, and that the staff at the time had clear idea about solutions, but there was no mechanism for staff and management to collaborate on resolving the crisis. And this is to the heart of what collective agreements can offer and what they have offered in the health context. So managers had cancelled all meetings with the nurses' organisation. Communication had broken down, and that they basically, the acting clinical director denied overcrowding or overstaffing in any way contributed to those events and described staffing ratios in the ward as very good. And then in 2004, a third of the staff resigned, understandably. Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take this opportunity in my first speech of the 51st Parliament to congratulate the government. And it's to congratulate it for consistency, because it has consistently advocated for flexibility